Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this video on Carlos Sainz. As you know, he finished 5th in the championship in 2021, ahead of his established teammate Leclerc and helping them to a 3rd in the Constructors' Championship finish. However, opinion still remains divided on whether or not he is really the better driver of the two, and who will be Ferrari's lead driver going forward. To answer this question, it's important to look at how they compared head to head. As I've mentioned, Carlos ended 2021 with more points, but it was Charles who outraced and outqualified Sainz. So if you were to bet on which driver would come out on top in an arbitrary given weekend, you'd have to say it would be Charles, quite simply. So if this was the case, how did he end up with less points than Carlos? Well, Carlos notched up 4 podiums in 2021 compared to Charles's 1, and in the races where Carlos ended up on the podium, Charles only scored 1 point. So you can say Sainz definitely made the most of the opportunities that came his way. And he also had the longest point streak out of any driver on the grid, so over the course of a 22 race season, he kept mistakes minimal. Charles himself kept it very consistent throughout the year, and the only real big mistake I can think of is Monaco, which unfortunately cost him a lot of points to his teammate. There seems to be a perception going around that Charles makes a lot of mistakes on Sundays and his performance varies from weekend to weekend quite a lot, but in reality that hasn't been the case. The fact he scored as many points as he did despite having all the bad luck he did have is a testament to his talent and his now consistent level that he's been driving at. So who can we expect to be Ferrari's lead driver going into the future, or if they have a lead driver at all? There are 2 things we have to consider. Firstly, how fast is the car? How competitive is it? Is it a world title winning car, a race winning car, a midfield car, or will they even go backwards compared to where they are now? And the second one is the car characteristics, how the car handles. There is a weakness in Carlos's driving style that has not been apparent in Leclerc's, and that is when the car has a certain amount of rear instability. When Carlos was at Renault, this is the problem he faced. The car was quite nervous at the rear, and in general he was slower than his teammate Hülkenberg and ended up playing second fiddle. And compare that to Leclerc, who had the same issue at Ferrari in 2020, he decimated Vettel. So if Ferrari deliver them a car like that, then I wouldn't expect Sainz to be anywhere near Leclerc, and he'd very much end up playing the second fiddle role that he kind of played at Renault. But give Carlos the rear support he's looking for, and he's more than a match for the very best drivers on the grid. We've seen that with the Leclerc this year, and also think back to his time at Toro Rosso with Verstappen. He pushed Max very hard and even outqualified him in 2015. So that just goes to show, give Carlos a car that he likes, a car he's comfortable in, and he'd be able to push anyone on the grid. One of the most important aspects of being a modern day F1 driver is how you work out of the car and how good your technical knowledge is. Carlos has been very active in this area, and he's proven to be a great team player and someone who can effectively work with his engineers. Just look at how he led McLaren from being one of the bottom 2 teams in F1 in 2018 to being the leading midfield team in 2019 and 2020. You can definitely say he's repeated this at Ferrari, whilst not being the lead driver, but he's definitely been a big contributor to their resurgence. The fact he's come into Ferrari and put himself on equal footing to the guy who displaced Seb Vettel as number 1 driver is a testament to how good he is outside the car, and if Ferrari ever find themselves in a position to be fighting for a world championship in the near future, he's for sure able to lead them in that fight. Putting this all together, is it fair to say Carlos was the outright better driver in 2021? I don't think it is. I think it's quite clear when you look at the head-to-head that Charles was the better performing driver from start to finish in 2021. However, we have to factor in that Carlos was new to the team. He wouldn't have been familiar with the dynamics of the team or the way the car handled from the very beginning, and he even said at the end of the season that he was still struggling a bit with his feeling on the brakes. He definitely did get closer and closer to Charles as the season went on, and he ended the season very well, with a brilliant podium in Abu Dhabi. So if he continues that form into 2022, don't be surprised to see him be the lead Ferrari driver. However, I do expect it to be a very close and tightly fought battle between the two of them. I'm glad Carlos is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He pushed Max extremely hard when they were both rookies, and given how good Max has gone on to be, I'm very surprised people were sleeping on Carlos for so long. There were always a few doubts when he was at McLaren to his performances, as Norris was a rookie and therefore an unknown benchmark. However, now he's gone to Ferrari, to Leclerc's team, and proven he can go toe-to-toe with the very best and highest rated drivers in the paddock. The final step is for Ferrari to deliver these two super talented and hungry individuals a car that is capable of fighting for the top step on a regular basis. Let me know in the comments what you think of Carlos as a driver. How does he stack up to his teammate Leclerc and the other drivers on the grid? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. All the support is much appreciated. And until next time, it's goodbye from me.